well the history of Compass. Compass today already has a very different customer. Businesswoman, businessman, active family. So the idea was to have a modular approach to give the right answer to the different customer. And for sure that will give us the 24/7 use. Flexible, as I said, for commuting, sport, road trips and off-road. So now I think you are curious, and I'm curious to see your reaction, to see for the first time the third generation Compass. So now everything will be easier to explain to you the different steps that we did from the design point to some comparison with the current Compass. This vehicle is 150 mils longer than today, 85 mils wider than today. Because what I said, more space for our customer. Basically, the length of the overall vehicle is given by the wheelbase. So doing this, we will have 20 mils more of legroom in comparison with the today Compass, 45 liters of trunk. We will have 20 mils more of shoulder room for the rear seats and 10 mil more of headroom. But we didn't focus only on the rear space. At the moment, we are able to give only 14 liters of frontal storage on the current Compass. With this one, we will give 34 liters of frontal storage. So from the design point of view and the engineering point of view, we worked, let me say, engraving every single surface of the interiors. For example, this is an example, the negative shape of the IP. The IP, this negative shape will be rubberized to avoid any sliding object during the drive session, and we integrated the panic handle in the shape itself of the IP. We will have 40, 20, 40 rear seats splitted, so basically our customer will be able to adjust how they prefer the rear cargo. And then when we make Jeep in a Jeep way, we take a particular attention to the front overhang. So as always, as we did on the Avenger, as we do in many Jeeps, we worked at the limit of the minimum overhang possible on this package, front and rear, selecting the higher overall diameter tire to give the higher ground clearance possible, and for sure to ensure the best technical angle. But we will talk about this in a few seconds. The second chapter was interesting during these 3 years, because as you can see here is a bold vehicle, detail and angle. So we optimized the section of the greenhouse, we covered fully the front section of the front door, we closed as we did on the 7-slot grill, and we will talk about this in a few seconds. We will have aesthetic grid, active grid chapter to optimize the drag coefficient, and then we accelerated the section of the roof that is hidden by the roof rail to give the perfect aerodynamic flux. Not only will have real air curtains on the front, and I love this particular. This is the cherry on the cake for the aerodynamic part of the Compass. We created this aero cladding. They are real outlet fluxes on the rear, reaching less than 0.3 cx on this bold volume, and a range up to 650 kilometers for the electric version. But let's the story, the DNA construction of this vehicle. I was always in love with the first generation Compass shoulder, the blister applied on the volume. So we replied the sculpture of the first generation. I repeat every time, this is not style. This is a functional approach to avoid the tire to touch the body when you are in off-road and you are in the maximum compression of your suspension. That comes from the history. a bold volume that unmistakably show the boldness of the vehicle from the front view, and the bent-over grill. You remember the story? The bent-over grill was an engineering trick to reinforce the sheet metal grill. This exercise on the Avenger, closing the 7 slot, because we are not anymore the wheelless with huge radiator like that. Now the vehicle is useless for the air intake. So basically we closed them, reaching the best CX possible, but this time we'll have a multifunctional 7 slot. So we changed completely the function of the 7 slot from air intake to something futuristic. We'll have radar, and that will be the rear signature, light signature. That will be a huge X like that on the rear, and this is our history. It started 84 years ago with a jerrycan. Then we reported on the first Renegade. We had a huge success on the Avenger with the X because we repeated. And right now we said, okay, let's be proud of the X. Let's repeat in a Giga version on the Compass. And that will be also the first Jeep in the history having the rear logo illuminated. Let's talk story. The double U reversed shape start from the SJ. The SJ was, and it is, the first SUV in the automotive market, concentrated on driving. So for us, the radio is important because this is the place in which we are going to project the maps. So we'll have 10-inch cluster and 16-inch radio. And then we'll have physical capacitive switches. So this is a new technology that gives the feedback, so this is really important. But being capacitive, we don't have anymore the gaps between the different functions. So again, we are making the life of our customer better. You can clean the interior without having dust in the gaps. And then we have the center console. In the center console is concentrated the brain of the engine. We have selector rein, PRND, and electric handbrake. The selector rein is completely full new design. It will be a another gift. So welcome 4xe Compass. Welcome 4xe, and hello again. So, as I said before, we had a long discussion about the functionality of the front-wheel drive, but now you will see how many other functionality we added to the 4x4 version. So as you can see here, we'll have higher technical angle. So that means 31 degrees of departure angle, 16 degrees of breakover angle, and 27 degrees of approach angle. Thanks to the new features that we will have on this model. So a specific black fascia front and rear to guarantee the angle that we already set, 10 mm more of suspension, and special wheel of 19-inch that will guarantee the higher sidewall possible on this vehicle to have the best handling in the off-road use, and something that in my opinion is the second cherry on the cake on this model. So as you can see here, the bumper is modular. We had this straight cut in front of on the model to have two different finishing. That they are not only finishing, they are functional. Because on the front wheel drive will be body color, more mainstream. But for the guy that want to go in the off-road, it will be black, molding color, anti-scratch. So it is a connection also with the history of Jeep. I give you my private example. I have a Wrangler and a Cherokee XJ. The front end of my vehicle are molding color one, and anti-scratch painted the second one. So basically this is what the Jeepers do to their vehicle, and we took this experience to put on this model. We will have the usual anti-reflective wood sticker to avoid any sun glare in front of the eyes of the driver, and for sure always better stay safe when you are outdoor with your friends, so we will have the rear tow hook. Heavy duty rubber mats, and again this is the fabric that we started to have also on the Avenger.